We're talking about forgiveness. How does it work? How do we interact with it as believers? What do we do? My friends, it is great to see you. Have you ever had a pretzel for breakfast? Oh my goodness, a good warm German pretzel with a little bit of mustard, that can make a morning for me. It's a beautiful thing. But whatever your breakfast tradition is, hopefully you're indulging in it now. I want to say thank you for having breakfast with me this morning. We're talking about forgiveness because we realize we are living in times that are ridiculous, all right? It doesn't take a genius to turn on news and see how wicked our society is becoming. But we must have the right reaction in accordance with what God's heart is for what we are to respond with. And so I want us to look at one of the verses in Scripture that I think is going to help us tremendously navigate this process. Colossians chapter 3, 1 verse 13. You ready? Yeah, me too. Let's do this. Bearing with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other, as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. There are a lot of aspects about forgiveness that we need to understand. I know that we live in a time where the catchphrase forgive and forget is a common acceptance that many people believe is scriptural, and unfortunately, no, it's not. The forgetting part is never in line with forgiveness. However, as you walk through life, I want to tell you, pastorally, you are going to find people that hurt you, mistreat you, give injustice against you. And what should our response be as believers? How are we to handle these things? Well, one, we must be willing to forgive. Now, before you freak out, because I know that many times when we talk about forgiveness, we go beyond what forgiveness actually is, as thinking that that's what God is asking for. Forgiving is simply not holding your own pain and your own fury for what you've endured against the individual, but leaving it to God. This is a theme that we see throughout Scripture where God commands us to allow Him to execute justice and judgment. Now, we as believers are to seek justice and we are to uphold righteousness. We are to adhere to law and that which is right, which is in compliance with God's heart. We're to uphold that. But many times when we are wronged, we try and take justice into our own hands. My friends, this scripture is reminding us that the first action we must respond with is forgiving. Forgiving others and taking out our desire to repay and our desire to destroy in recompense for what has happened to us. We are to take that out and we are to hand it over to God. We are to allow Him to bring what is right and what is good. Now, many times we hesitate because there's a patience with God that is meant for the salvation of all men. And sometimes we don't want that. Sometimes we think that, oh man, it should be exacted now because I'm in pain right now. And though those things are true, I believe that forgiveness is far more important for the one who has had the wrong done than it is for the one who has done the wrong to someone else. Don't get me wrong, forgiveness is important across the board, but when we hold on to the idea that we are to carry out the justice and judgment, it warps and it twists our actions and our minds and our emotions. If we allow God to handle what is done wrong, then we will know that it will be handled justly. All the while, we should be seeking for justice to be upheld within the land, justice to be upheld within our governments and our rules of order and law. This is absolutely crucial, but we must never take it into our own hands. And the scripture that we're seeing here is a reminder that God forgave us, and so we must forgive others. Forgive others and allow the justice of God to rightly deal what is good and correct for any given situation. My friends, with this in mind, I know that there are a lot of hurts that we've all sustained. My encouragement to you is forgive, not necessarily for the other person, but forgive for yourself. And in that, allow God to handle things the way they should be handled. And you will never go wrong if that's the case. All right, my friends, there's still more that we're going to talk about. But hey, you got to get ahead of the game. Get out there today and live for the Lord. Walk in forgiveness, my friends. And today will be a good day. We'll see you next time. My friends, I just cannot believe this. A few years ago, starting this little live video shoot in my kitchen has grown into a massive ministry that is reaching people all over the world. Can I just stop and say thank you for supporting Breakfast with Bradley? Guys, this has been far beyond anything we ever expected, and we're so thankful that it's being a blessing to you and a blessing to others. We want to encourage you to take this to the next level. If God would lay it on your heart to support this, check out our Patreon. It helps tremendously. And hey, if you notice this new shirt, oh my goodness, amazing, love it. We're giving away one after every 10 subscribers. We're giving one away in a raffle. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. And my friends, as always, God bless.